Have you ever wanted to deal 1000 damage to all of your opponents in one go? Well, thanks to this new card, the Millennium Calendar from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, now you can. The Millennium Calendar is a 1 mana legendary artifact that says, whenever you untap one or more permanents during your untap step, put that many time counters on the Millennium Calendar. Pay 2 and tap, double the number of time counters on the Millennium Calendar, and when there are 1000 or more time counters on the Millennium Calendar, sacrifice it and each opponent loses 1000 life. Now there are two ways you can build this deck in Standard. The first involves playing All Will Be One, getting the calendar to at least 20 counters and then simply activating it to ding your opponent for 20 or more. However, in this video we're going to do it the honest and true way and get this calendar to 1000 counters. An important thing to keep in mind is the calendar only needs 9 activations at most after it has a single counter on it. Now, Yeoman5 on Twitter has pulled together this Bant list that looks to untap the calendar with Teferi, who slows the sunset, effectively reducing the number of turns this combo takes by half. The deck also includes 2 excellent new cards, one of them being Sentinel of the Nameless City, a 3 mana 3/4 with Vigilance that creates a map token whenever it ETBs or attacks. A map token is an artifact that you can pay 1 mana and activate it at sorcery speeds, and target creature will explore. Sentinel is great on the offense, as well as being on the defense to protect our planeswalkers and life totals. The map that Sentinel creates also goes great with Dusk Rose Reliquary, a 1 mana artifact with an additional cost of sacrificing an artifact or creature. It has Ward 2 and can exile an artifact or creature until it leaves the battlefield. The deck also contains a few mana dorks, as well as a couple of other mana rocks that can help us ramp into an early Teferi or storm the festival. Of course, we're also running the Wandering Emperor to protect our planeswalkers and get rid of some large aggressive threats. Now that we've covered the basics of the deck, let's jump into a quick game from the Early Access Event. To start, we have a pretty okay opening 7. We have the lands we need, a mana dork, the calendar, and Teferi. However, our only green source comes into play tapped, which means we can't drop calendar on turn 1. Our opponent just plays a forest and passes the turn. We draw into the Emperor, play our second land, and cast Root Coil Creeper, with the goal of playing Teferi and the calendar on turn 3. Our opponent drops their own mana dork too. Looks like they could be on the mono green Stompy plan. We draw into Dreamroot Cascade, play it, and just like we planned, cast Teferi, activate his +1 to untap our land and our creature, and play the calendar. Our opponent follows this up with the new Pugnacious Hammerskull, a 3 mana 6/6 that when it attacks, if you don't control another dinosaur, you put a stun counter on it. We tap our Root Coil Creeper at the end of turn, just so the calendar gets an extra counter on it. For our 4th turn, we draw another Dreamroot Cascade and we play a Darker Wastes, so we can have double white open to cast the Wandering Emperor if we need to. And thanks to Teferi's +1 ability, we effectively get a free activation of the calendar. Our opponent then casts a Hulking Raptor, a 4 mana 5/3 with Ward 2 that generates 2 green mana at the start of the pre-combat main phase, which will allow our opponent to ramp into more dinosaurs. It also lets them attack with Hammerskull without it getting a stun counter. They then attack our Teferi and we simply exile it with the Emperor. We unfortunately draw into another land, but if we can protect this Teferi for 1 more turn, we can ultimate him and likely win the game with calendar. Our opponent plays an Earthshaker Dreadmaw, a 6 mana 6/6 with Trample that when it ETBs, you draw a card for each other dinosaur you control. So that's just 1 extra card for them, and now they're completely tapped out. So it looks like we're going to be able to ultimate Teferi. Teferi's ultimate gives us an emblem that lets us untap all of our permanents during our opponent's untap step, and we get to draw a card on their draw step 2. The turn comes to us and we ultimate Teferi, activate Calendar, play our second Teferi and activate Calendar one more time and pass the turn to our opponent. Thanks to Teferi giving us some extra life, we are now on 30, so even if our opponent swings at us, we have plenty of room to survive. Our opponent plays another Earthshaker Dreadmaw and an Ixalan's Lawkeeper and swings in for 11. We activate Calendar one more time, putting it to 472 counters. And during our turn, we activate the Calendar 2 more times for that sweet 1000 point damage win. Now, I'd like to tell you that this deck is great, but oh, come on. That's unfortunately not the case. Control decks can interact with the Calendar, and aggro decks can quickly overwhelm us. So while this deck is fun to play, I don't recommend putting all your wildcards into it. Well, that's about it for this video. What other decks are you excited to play in Lost Caverns of Ixalan? And let me know if you enjoyed this gameplay styled video. Be sure to like it if you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one.